Hello. Now you're welcome to the second class. I'll be giving an introduction to the Dart environment and the Dart tool that we'll be using to build this code. Right. So basically, I'll be explaining something we call the SDK. Dart SDK. So I would like you to just jot that down. It means software development kit. Software development kit. So what does that mean? What does SDK mean? Software development kit. It is a kit that we use for software development. So simple, right? Let's say for example now you want to build a car, and in order to build a car there are some things you need. Of course, you need something like a lamp, you need an engine, you need a chair, you need the chassis, you need a bonnet, there are a lot of things you will need. All those things that you will need to piece together or to put together to actually build the actual car are the kit of the car, right? So that's a car kit. So the things we need to bring together to build our app or our software is our software development kit. I hope that's clear enough. All right. So basically, when building that code, when we're writing that code, there are three ways in which you can actually get to write them. Or I would say three ways or three SDKs we can actually get to use. In this class, I'll be using the third one I'll be mentioning, and that's the reason. And the reason why I'll be mentioning the third one, I'll be explaining it then. Or the reason why I'll be using the third one, I'll be explaining. The first one is, before this class, I've uploaded some videos in the group, and the videos are for you to download and install Flutter into your system, right? So now, when you install Flutter into your system, that automatically gets installed. So when you install the Flutter SDK, the Dart SDK automatically gets installed into your system. That's the first way. The second way is when you come to this dart.dev, right? Then you get that, you can see, get that, then you get to download for your operating system. So if I'm using, you can see, download the zip, you can see this SDK archive, and there's a guide, you can even come here, download with chocolate, download this way, right? So there's a guide that can actually guide you here in order to download it. So you go to dart.dev, click on the get that, and you can get to download the SDK from here. We won't be using the first one and we won't be using the second one. And of course, if you're using Windows, you have to be on either Windows 10 or Windows 11. If you're using Linux, you have to be on something like this, and if you're using macOS, it has to be between this. It must not be lesser than this, otherwise it won't be able to work on your system. So now, but we won't be using this too. I'll be using something we call the dartpad, which is this third one. And how do you access this? You type dartpad.dev, dartpad.dev. When you type on this, automatically you go into this place, and this is where we'll be writing our code. And why did I choose this dartpad? The reason is because this is a class to learn the Dart programming language, and I don't want us to start installing anything. I want it to be as easy as possible. Why? Because we won't be using anything Flutter. We won't be installing Flutter here. It is not time to start coding Flutter. So let's learn this Dart using the dartpad. And the reason why I'll be using the dartpad is because why we'll be learning Dart first is because Dart is a prerequisite to Flutter. If you don't understand Dart, there's no way you're going to learn Flutter, right? And that's exactly the reason why we'll be learning. Even in this dartpad, Flutter is being installed into this plate. When you check here, you see Dart 3.5.1, and then you can see this place here, the Flutter, and of course it's stable bash version. You can check other versions too, but yeah, this is okay by us. You can choose this and this. As a programmer, I think we like that mode more. So now we'll be writing our first code, right? So the first thing we'll be starting with is something we call print. Now I'll be doing now. So I don't just want you to just watch this video. I want you to watch the video, and of course you try what I do or what I code, then you try to look for a way to modify it, because that's the only way you can learn. So when you open this place and you are here, the first thing I would like you to do is to remove everything from here. Remove the for, from this for to this other bracket, we call it the for loop. Remove everything, so that the only thing that will be left is the void main, the open and close parentheses, and this bracket you see here, the curly braces. So that's the only thing I want to see here. And why am I leaving only this one here? Like, why did I delete that one? The reason why I deleted that one is because that is written by the Dart thing. That's the code, right? If I Ctrl Z and I run this code, I will see my output on this side. When you click on the run here, automatically you see your output here. The code is being displayed here, right? And that's because this is somebody's code. You can see the code. This is somebody's code. So I want us to write our own code, and that's why we'll be removing this place. So when I run, you see nothing will be displayed on the screen. So why am I leaving this void main? Why did I remove every other thing and left this one? That's because this is what we call a function. Please write it down somewhere, which will be coming. Of course, we'll be talking about function more later in later classes. But for now, write it down somewhere. This is a function, and we'll be using what we'll be using function for, right? This particular function, void main function, is like a place where all our codes must actually be run, must go in, right? That means that code cannot work without the void main. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. So that means every other thing we'll be writing it in this, you can see, in this void main. So now the first thing we'll be talking about, like I said earlier, is a print. Please write it somewhere. Print. Now what is print? You see that if I don't have anything in this void main now, this is the void main function. Please, I want you to start to get into the habit of calling function all those keywords that we'll be talking about. For example, now print is a keyword. Print is a keyword, right? Please note those languages. When I click on this one, nothing is being displayed here. So the print allows me to actually display something on my, on my console. This is what we call a console, right? So this whole thing is a console generally, right? So now if I click here and if I want to print now, I'll type on print, 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 right? Now it has to be a small letter p. If you use it like this, capital letter capital letter print like this, you can see it is orange. That's an error. You can see these error messages here. Undefined name print. It means that this capital letter P is not something that Flutter understands. It has to be the small letter P, right? So it will be print, right? Then once you are done doing that, you open and close your braces. Open and close brackets. Now the reason why we are opening and close brackets, because everything we want to print here has to be in the open and close bracket, right? And you will see there's another error you see here, and there's a red here, and when we check this bottom here, it's something like expected to find a semicolon. What does this mean? It means that when we are done writing a line of code, we have to end it with a semicolon like this, right? You can see that error is out now. It has to be something like this. You must add a semicolon. It's more like a golden rule, right, of Flutter. Another thing is one positional argument expected by print but 0 found. What does this mean? It means that whenever we are writing code in Flutter, we want to print. Now something has to be printed. If I click on this now there's an error, and this error now is pointing at this print. It means that there's an error here. Too few positional arguments, 1 required but 0 is given. It means that the print must have one argument that has to be passed into it, right? Which is what you want to print. Let's say I want to pass something. Let me pass hello world. So hello world will be the first code you guys will be writing. There's a necessity though, but well, that's the first code. Let's run this code. Bam, is an error. Now why is there an error? Let's look at this. Let's walk through this error. Expected comma before this. Okay. Print. The error is pointing. If you look at it very well, this O error is pointing inside this bracket, right? And the reason is because whenever you are typing anything that has to do with alphabet in programming are called string. I repeat, alphabet in programming are called string. String, string, right? You can write it down. So whenever you want to type a string like hello world, it has to be in a curly braces, which is a string. So either you use, as a curly braces, I'm talking about quote, right? So that you use a single quote, either use a single quote like this. Can you see? And when you open it with a single quote, you have to close it with also a single quote. You see, when you do this now, all errors are done or gone. When I run this code, you will see hello world on our console, right? It shows that this code is actually working. Can you see now? Hello world. And if you also choose, if you are somebody like me, I like to use a double. So if you use a double, if you are starting with a double, you must also end with also a what? A double like this. When I run this code, of course it will work, as you can see. Now, what if I want to print? Let me go to the new line. Let me put another thing. Let's say I want to print a number. Is this still applicable? Let's say quotes, and I say 4. I put this. Is there any error?